الان برای چی اومدید زندان؟
ولی خب شریکم پولم برداشت، برای همین نتونستم قسطی وام پرداخت بکنم.
مامان دایی اومده.
چقدر لاغر شدی دفعه؟
والا من هر دفعه هم دهنگم.
فکر نمی‌کردم اینقدر بی طاقتت بشم.
دلم برات تنگ شده.
بفرم.
باشه ایانا کس نمیاد اینجا یه کیف گم که بده باشه.
نه چطور؟
ما یه مقدار طلا پیدا کردیم.
Hi.
سلام چطورین؟
خوبم. I'm so bad at speaking Farsi. I wish I could speak it better. یه ذره میتونم بگم ولی my parents make fun of me all the time.
Okay. Where do you live? Do you live in LA or
Dallas.
Dallas? Okay.
Dallas. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. But it is a huge honor to speak with you because your work has meant so much to me and my family. I still remember when A Separation won the Oscar. My whole family, we just cheered in our living room.
Oh. Thank you.
It means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
But I will say what I love about your films is how you can take your style of filmmaking and writing, you can take a simple plot and create it an exciting thriller with so many layers. And I was wondering what sparked that style of storytelling?
خیلی سخت توضیح بدم که چگونه این اتفاق میفته ولی میتونم بگم که مهمه برام که این در واقع چیزی که توی فیلم ها میبینیم با متریال خیلی روزمره و ساده و کم اهمیت اتفاق بیفته.
It's very hard for me to explain how this happens, but one thing I can say is that it's very important for me that the story happens with the everyday life material that looks very unimportant.
در واقع این تویستایی که اتفاق میفته اینها با اسلحه و با کشتن و با اتفاق عجیب غریب نیست، خیلی چیزای ساده است. یعنی خیلی این تویستا با یه لغزش کلامی کوچیک، با یه اشتباه کوچیک رخ میده.
Yeah, like lots of the twist that happens in the story doesn't happen with guns or somebody gets killed or anything like that. All of them happen with very small, like it's very slight mistakes, very slight, you know what you say, just very small things, and then it has like a different effects.
این باعث میشه که تماشاگر خیلی راحت احساس کنه که خب این اتفاق میتونه برای منم رخ بده، چون این چیزیه که برای همه زندگی همه آدما مشترکه.
And that helps the audience feel like, oh, this can happen to me as well because it's like mutual everywhere in the world.
شاید کار سختری باشه که شما با این چیزهای متریال کوچیک بخواید در واقع این میزان بحران رو درست کنید.
Maybe it's harder to make this amount of crisis with just very small materials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ما توی ایران یه نوع نقاشی داریم که نقاشی مینیاتوره و نقاشی مینیاتور با دیتیله، یعنی که مثلا یه رشته موی یه زن شاید مثلا 500 تا خط چیز کشیده شده تا اون یه رشته، یعنی با ذره بین باید ببینی. این چیزی که تو فرهنگ ما در واقع ریشه، شاید فرهنگ توی هنر ما شاید یه ریشه‌ای داشته باشه، حتی توی کاشیکاری‌های ایرانی هم این دیتیل بودن هست.
I mean there is something in Iranian culture. We have some kind of a painting in Iranian culture that's called miniature painting, and it's like has lots of details in it. For example, there is a hair of a female and a woman, and it's full of this line. Maybe it has 500 different lines, and you have to go and look at it with what do you call it? Like
magnifying glass.
Magnet, yeah, with a magnet glass. And or like the tile work of Persian tiles, they're like full of details. I think it has some very deep roots in Iranian culture and Iranian art.
Yeah, even Persian rugs. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you mentioned in a letter that you sent to the critics how it's very important for you to create empathy between the audience and your characters on screen. And I was wondering, how do you think a hero accomplishes that goal?
ببینید این نه تنها بین خود کاراکترها توی فیلم گاهی وجود داره، بین تماشاگر و کاراکترهای فیلم و بعد از که فیلم تمام شد بین تماشاگرها از سلیقه‌های مختلف هم باید به وجود بیاد.
Well, basically, not only it exists between the characters in the film, it also happens between characters and the audience. And when the movie is over, between the audience from different tastes and different points of views.
ما وقتی که میگیم همدلی معنیش نیست که ما کاملا به یه کاراکتری حق میدیم یا به یه آدم دیگه یا یه گروه از آدم دیگه حق میدیم. ما میفهمیم که اونا چرا این کارو کردن و این همدلی ایجاد میکنه. این با اینکه حق بدیم به یه کسی یا چیزی یکم فرق میکنه.
When we talk about empathy, it basically is different from giving somebody or a group of people the right to do what they do. It means that we understand why they're doing what they do. And this understanding between the creates empathy. And that's very different from giving them the right.
ما وقتی که این همدلی رو داشته باشیم، همدردی، حالا یا تو فارسی هم واقعا کلمه قشنگیه، تو انگلیسی ترجمه نداره این. تو فارسی حالا شاید خانواده شما بتونن بهتون توضیح بدن. توی فارسی معنی همدلی یعنی که دلها به هم نزدیک میشه، یعنی یه جوری یه بعد احساسی داره و این چیزیه که من قبلا توی اون استیتمنت هم گفتم که انگار امروز دنیا به این بیشتر از هر چیزی نیاز داره.
Well, for the word empathy in Persian, it's very interesting. Maybe your parents can explain it to you. But it's very beautiful because it means that the hearts get closer to each other. And I really, that means that people are emotionally get close to each other and they make one unit, they become united.
یعنی ما وقتی که توی این فیلم رحیم رو می‌بینیم ممکنه یه جایی از اون در واقع رفتارش رو قبول نداشته باشیم، میگیم چرا این کارو کرد، ولی به لحاظ احساسی قلبمون وقتی اون میره تو زندان همراه اون میره، قلبمون به اون نزدیکه.
Yes, for example, if Rahim in the movie does something, we might ask ourselves why he did this wrong thing. But emotionally, our heart is very close to him, and when he goes to the prison, we still have a feeling for him.
Yeah, and I really love that this movie was filmed in Shiraz too, just because that's actually where my parents are from. They're from Shiraz. And they even noticed it from the accents. They were like, "Mifamim," they talk different. But I was wondering what made you choose Shiraz over like a city like Tehran?
ببینید دلایل مختلفی داره، ولی یکیش اینه که مثلا این نوع ارتباطات خانوادگی که توی شیراز هست توی تهران دیگه کمتر دیده میشه.
It has different reasons, but one of them is that these kind of family relationships that we see in this film and it's happening in Shiraz, we don't see that much of it in Tehran anymore.
توی شیراز این جمله it's your problem دیگه معنا نداره و پرابلم تو پرابلم همه است و همه کمکت میکنن، گاهی اذیت میکنن.
In Shiraz, for example, this sentence of "this is your problem" doesn't really mean anything. Everyone's problem, every problem is everyone's problem, and everybody tries to help, and sometimes they actually make more, problems.
ولی توی تهران، نه همه تهران، چون یه جای تهران هم هنوز اینجوریه، ولی یه بخشی از تهران دیگه واقعا مشکل توه، یعنی قرار نیست که دیگری بیاد کمکت کنه.
But in some parts of Tehran, your problem is your problem. Is nobody else is coming to help you.
و من به خاطر همین نیاز داشتم این قصه رو توی شیراز باشه، چون آدمای دیگه بتونن شریک بشن تو حل این مشکل.
And I needed this story to happen in Shiraz because I wanted to other, people in the city come to help.
از طرف دیگه شیراز به هر حال شهریه که یه گذشته تاریخی داره و ما یه نوستالژی به اون شهر داریم.
On the other hand, Shiraz has a very historical background and we have a nostalgia for that city.
خیلی از آدم‌های مهم تاریخ ما یه رد پایی توی اون شهر دارن، یه نشانه‌هایی ازشون تو اون شهر هست.
Many of our like big historical figures that we love, they have their footprints there in that city.
و این بلاز کانسپتی با کانسپت فیلم قهرمان نزدیکه.
And concept-wise, it was close to my story, the story of a hero.
Well, that's good to know. I was wondering why my parents are like that. So that's because of the city that they're from. Because if it's their problem with their family, me, whatever, it's their problem too. So it makes sense. But you also showcase the pros and cons of social media in this film. And I was wondering, after working on this movie, do you think that social media is more beneficial to society or harmful?
خیلی سخته بگم که آیا بیشتر سود داره یا ضرر داره. خیلی بستگی داره راجع به چه جامعه‌ای حرف میزنیم. هیچ کس به نظرم نمیتونه جواب این سوالو دقیق بده.
It's really hard to answer this question. It's very hard for me to say it's beneficial or harmful. It really depends on the society as well. I don't think anybody can give a definite answer to this question.
من میتونم بگم که خیلی خوبی ها داشته. یه صداهایی که قبلا شنیده نمیشده الان از طریق سوشال مدیا راحت شنیده میشه.
I can say that he had lots of benefits. For example, we can start to hear the voices that we couldn't hear before.
ولی یه مشکلاتی هم داره همزمان که به خاطر این انبوه خبرهاست و سرعتی که توی این سوشال مدیا هست.
But it has another problem at the same time that it's because of this big mass of information that is happening and news that is happening and the fast pace that it goes through.
Yeah, I know it's hard. I don't know how to answer it either. It's both pros and cons, but like in a separation, children are the ones witnessing the adults' conflicts, and it's interesting to see what they take in and what they don't. I was wondering, when you were a child, how did you perceive the adults around you? Did you try to pay attention to their conversations, or did you just kind of ignore it?
من موقعی که بچه بودم خیلی اتفاقا بزرگترها برام جالبتر بودن تا بچه‌های همسن خودم.
The interesting thing is that when I was a kid, the adults were very interesting to me compared to other kids my age.
Yeah.
یعنی بیشتر به رفتارهای اونا نگاه می‌کردم.
I was looking at their attitude most of the time.
خیلی نگاهم به اونا بیشتر از زاویه احساسی بود.
I was looking at them from emotional point of view most of the time.
توی بچگی یه فوبیایی وجود داره برای بعضی از بچه‌ها، فوبیای از دست دادن بزرگترها.
The kids have this phobia which is like very specific to the childhood, and that's the phobia of losing the adults.
من بچگیم بخش زیادیش به سختی بچگیم این بود که همه اون کسایی بزرگترایی که دوستشون داشتم همزمان فکر کردم که اینا رو یه روزی از دست میدم.
One of the phobias that I had when I was a child, it was like all these adult people that were around me. I had this imagination that they are going to lose them, all of them at the same time.
بعد که با آدمای دیگه هم صحبت کردم احساس کردم که این فوبیا رو خیلی ها دارن. ما بچگی خیلی دوران خوبیه ولی همزمان هم میفهمی که شروع از دست دادن ها هم هست.
When I talked to other people, I found out that many people had the kind of the same phobia as well. Childhood is a very joyful period of time, but at the same time, it's a start of losing at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I also was wondering, in this movie, it also questions if Rahim is truly a hero for his good deed. And we see, there are people who don't think so, and I understand why not. But I was wondering, how would you define a hero? And do you have anyone in your life that you view as a personal hero?
من به نظرم چیزی به اسم هیرو در واقعیت وجود نداره اصلا.
I think that there is nothing, a concept of hero does not exist in the reality.
اونایی که به نظرمون هیرو میان چون از دور بهشون نگاه میکنیم به نظر هیرو میان، وقتی نزدیک میشیم دیگه نیستن، کسایی هم مثل خود ما.
I think those people that we believe they are heroes, it's because we are looking them from afar. But if you get very close to them, we find out that they're just normal people like us.
به خاطر همینه که ما بیشتر هیروها لااقل توی در واقع فرهنگی که من میشناسم آدمایین که مردن، چون اونا دورن و دیگه نمیشه بهشون نزدیک شد و بشناسیمشون.
That's why I think in our culture, most of the people that we consider heroes are the people who are actually passed away because they are so far away that we can never get to them.
من در بچگیم آدم‌هایی بودن که هیرو بودن برام، ولی اون به خاطر در واقع این بوده که بچه بودم و نمیشناختمشون.
Yeah, during my childhood there were people that I considered them as a hero, but it's because it was mostly because I was a child and I didn't know them.
Yeah. That makes sense. And that's why sometimes they say don't meet your heroes. too.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, I'd love to end with a fun, kind of lighthearted question before they wrap me up. But I love seeing Persian food in films, the rare films get, or especially tea. You know, I throughout this movie, I love seeing tea. I actually was telling my parents, I was like, God, do they just serve tea everywhere in Iran? And then they made up a good point. So, well, it's like coffee. It's like if they serve coffee.
Yeah, every morning, every evening.
But that's what we do in my household. If I go to my parents' house, I'm always like, Baba, choyi miham, choyi. And he makes fun. I don't even know if I said it right. But I was wondering, what are some of your favorite?
And چیز دیگه چای رو اونجا با قند میخوری یا با شکر؟
Man, does not sweet at all. I don't like sweet. Valley, gan.
Okay.
We have sugar cubes a little bit sometimes, but they love that's the true way.
میگه ما یک شوگر کیوب کوچیکی داریم ولی مادر پدرم عاشق قنده.
آره
میگن اون داره روش درستشونه.
چای بدون قند اصلا معنی نداره.
So do you have a favorite Iranian beverage or foods? What are your favorite Persian dishes?
من همه غذای ایرانی رو دوست دارم. ولی یه چیزی که توی ایران داریم و جاهای دیگه واقعا کم دیدم، گاهی بعد از ظهرها توی دفترمون بچه‌ها نون سنگک میگیرن با سبزی خوردن و پنیر.
آره.
این و خیار
اصلا
این خیلی خوشمزه ترین غذاییه که ما میشینیم دور هم و میخوریم. خیلی خوشمزه است.
Yeah, I mean, I love all Iranian foods, but there's one thing that I haven't seen that much in any other place that I went to is that sometimes in the evenings my people from my office would go and get the sangak. It's a bread, the Persian bread with the Persian cheese and some kind of vegetables that I don't know how to say it. It's a sabzi. It's like I don't know,
mint and
mint or basil,
yeah,
and cucumber.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the best in the world. And it's so simple, but at the same time, it's like the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Right. Noon paneer. That's what we call it. Noon paneer.
Yeah, noon paneer, exactly.
Noon paneer and sabzi. Yeah. That's funny. My husband's American, and that's one of his favorite dishes. He's like, so my mom makes sure to make it breakfast and dinner. So, but yeah, it's a great dish. Well, they are wrapping me up, but thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Send my hello to your family.
I will. Khodafis.
هوایی همان دروغ نمیگه.
من نمیدونم این مردی که کیه که تو به خاطر این آبرو خودت و خانواده‌تو داری بباد. این مردی که همه زندگی منه.
بابا
من یه کار نکرده باشی آبرو خود تو خانواده رو ببری دیگه نتونی توی شهر سر بلند کنی.
چه کار کردی؟ چرا کار کردی؟
چیکار کردی؟